Hi, in this video we will go over S3 lifecycles and retrieving archived documents from AWS Glacier. As you can see, previous versions of this document are archived. I can click on the restore button, which will start the process, and the version is now in pending state. Once the document is ready, I'm gonna receive an email and I can download the file straight from here. If I go to the UI, the version is now marked with an expiration date and I can download it from here as well. So let's get to it. First, I'm gonna define lifecycle rules for my bucket. I want to archive all older versions as soon as possible, which in AWS is a minimum of 1 day. We can also archive current versions of the document, let's say after 30 days, but we're not gonna use it for this one. I'll deploy the changes and check this out in the console. I'm gonna go to the management tab to see if the rules I've created are defined. Let's check out some object in the bucket. Right now all the versions are in the standard storage class, so let's fast forward to tomorrow, and now they're Glacier flexible retrieval, except for the current version and of course the delete markers, which do not have a storage class at all. Back in the code, we first got to differentiate between archived and non-archived versions. I'm actually using Zod for normalizing data, so I'm just gonna add storage class key to the validator and then create a isArchived flag from it. In the UI, we can now easily use this to display the archived label and a button for restoring the file. So let's check it real quick. We have the labels, but downloading the file throws an error because it's in the Glacier storage class. So let's remove the handler if the file is archived. Restoring an object from Glacier could take anywhere from a few minutes to several hours, which means that we will not be getting a file or a URL in the response. We're basically just telling AWS to start a job of retrieving the file. Now let's create the endpoint for requesting file retrieval. We're gonna need document ID and version ID. We can get the object key from the database. I want to keep track of restored files, so I'm gonna create a database table with object key, version, status, and expiry date. Next, I'm gonna create a function that will query the database and insert a new restored object with the pending state, and use it in the endpoint I just created. Now that we store this data, we can use it when displaying versions. So I'm gonna create yet another function that will query for the restored documents using object key. Then in the get endpoint, where I'm requesting a list of versions, I'm gonna use this and map the restored documents to versions list we got from AWS. Let's now hook it up on the front-end side and test it. I'm just gonna call the restore endpoint when clicking a button, and that's it. Okay, I have a version with a pending status, so I'm gonna adjust the UI to show this. I'm either gonna display the expiry date or a pending label. The application is pretty much done. Now we can handle the AWS side of things. We want to set up an S3 event with what's called a fanout pattern. The S3 event will publish to an SNS topic, which will spread the event among all of its subscribers. That's the fanout part. We're gonna have 2 lambdas subscribed. One will be responsible for sending the email with a download link, and the other will update the database row to change the status from pending to completed and set the expiry date for the document. Of course, we could just send the event straight to a single lambda that does both these things. I found this pretty neat library for creating emails with React, and I wanted to try it out, but a simple text email will be just fine. So let's add a listener for the S3 event. We're gonna send the event to an SNS topic, so we have to create that and give it some subscribers. I'm gonna do it one by one, starting with sending an email notification that the file has been retrieved. We gotta provide the path to the Lambda handler from project root and give it permissions for the simple email service that we will later use to send the email. Now in the Lambda file, we're gonna define the handler, expecting an SNS event as parameter, and then parse an S3 event from the message. Before sending the notification, we have to generate a signed URL to allow downloading the file without visiting the application. And then we're gonna render the email and send it using the simple email service. Second Lambda will be very similar, so let's do it right away. We're gonna copy the first part of the Lambda as it's gonna be exactly the same. And then let's copy the database client setup as well. Now we can update the restored document so that we can show it in the UI and generate signed URLs for it. Last but not least, we have to subscribe this Lambda to the SNS topic, otherwise it will not be triggered. That was quite a bit of code without any testing, so let's give it a try now. I'm gonna restore a document and then check in AWS console if the retrieval job was requested. As you can see, I have a restoration in progress, and we can even see that I opted for the expedited retrieval, which should be done within 5 minutes. Okay, now that the restoration request is completed and I have received the email, we can use it to download the file. And that's it. We've successfully implemented S3 Lifecycle Rules and moved objects from standard storage to Glacier. Then we used the AWS SDK to request an object retrieval and hooked into S3 events with an SNS topic that pushed the event to all its subscribers. Once the retrieval was completed, SNS triggered our lambdas and we got an email with a signed URL to download the file. That is it for this video. Thanks for watching.